My name's Matt, welcome back to Xenomorph Universe, and today I want to talk about the future of the Alien franchise. Now, I hate saying the word franchise, but it is a good description of what it has become. It has become basically an idea that is basically marketable, and it's there now to make money. And this is all down to that ginger bastard Ridley Scott. Now, I have quite strong feelings about what he has done to this film series. I was as excited as anyone can be about Prometheus' release. The trailers, I was a slight bit disappointed about the trailers because there's certain elements you could see. They're basically the big head. But I'm not here to go through Prometheus, I'm not here to go through Alien Covenant. I'm actually going to talk about what made the Xenomorph, the Alien films, what made them so successful. So, the young audience of today who weren't around like I was, and probably a lot of you viewers who are watching this video now grew up with the Alien franchise in the 80s, the Alien series should I say, and the idea isn't it. Young kids nowadays will probably think that it's all Ridley Scott's doing, but it's not. The fact of the matter is Ridley Scott was a director. Now, is Ridley Scott a good director? He's a fucking awesome director. That is not the point. The Alien basically came from three people, and three people really only. That was Dan O'Bannon and Ron Suchet, and if you don't know who they are, they're the two guys, mainly Dan O'Bannon, who wrote the story for Alien. And it was then, after they got in contact with Brandywine and 20th Century Fox, and then eventually with Ridley Scott, that the idea of, and Ridley Scott said it himself, this will be nothing unless we get the Alien right. And, he was very correct in saying that, and that's when Dan O'Bannon came out with this gigabook of the Alien, or what was going to become the Alien eventually. And so basically, the alien, the xenomorph itself, the actual creature, the monster, the whatever you want to call it, the sharp thing with teeth, basically came from Dan O'Bannon, Ron Suchet, and Giger. The idea of the life cycle, the incubation of an embryo, stuff like that. Now, don't get me wrong, loads of people had their hands in it and tweaked things, and Ridley Scott probably had a big hand in tweaking this, saying this, that, and the other. But the core idea came from basically them three guys. And it was turning that idea and that imagery, the idea of the story and the imagery of Giger's work, and turning that into science fiction. You know what I mean? Basically making it believable, making it real, and basing it on the things that we know around us. Now, humans, most humans are inherently scared of spiders, scorpions, snakes, stuff like sharks, and so on. Now, a lot of these things, like ants and snakes, scorpions and spiders, are usually quite small, especially the ones that are the most dangerous ones are usually quite the small ones. So basically, if you take into the hive mentality of the alien and all the rest of it from Aliens, you've basically got a giant ant that is 7 foot tall and that eats people. But it's not just about that. It's the fact that it was believable. The life cycle made sense. It drew from parasites, stuff like that. We never really believed for a second that it was invincible. It was just fucking hard to kill, and it had a life cycle, and we are basically just in its way. But not only that, it doesn't really seem to have any motives. It has the motives of ants. They just exist. Because that's just the way things are, and they just continue to exist that way. Evolution has driven them to that point, and that's just basically how they operate. So, even another great director, James Cameron, did not touch the core of that, that core element of the xenomorph, of the alien itself. And it was a bloody good job. That's why, again, if you look on IMDb, Alien has got a really high rating, and so has Aliens. And luckily, Alien 3, which is a bit of a sham from a managerial standpoint, the fact that they made a release date before they even had a decent script or could even make a film, that was the first cash cow film of the Alien series. However, because they managed to land David Fincher, who, you know, this is his debut and all the rest of it. They're just bloody lucky that he managed to make it the good film that it is. But again, that Alien 3 did not touch that core idea that, you know, the alien at the core of it all is the fact that it is just this walking, killing machine that cannot be reasoned with. It can't be talked to. It just does what it's basically evolved to do over time. And that was the beauty of it, you know, the fact that... And this was emulated, you know, with the fact that you can't see it's got eyes, with the fact that it has these horns coming out of its back. There's things that we... You know, like the shape of its head. Why is its head so big? It makes no sense. But, you know, it blends into itself in a way that it has to be very alien, something that we are not familiar with, but it also encapsulates some of the things that we are very, very scared of. Now, the problem with what the disaster basically that Ridley Scott's done after that is that he's taken that core idea. Now that's what he's doing. He's fucking around with that core idea, and that's the problem. And it reflects in the reviews. Now, people might say, you know, and there's a lot of comments in some of my videos. People do say, oh, but it's not that, it's the characters, the two-dimensional, or the crap, or maybe it's this, maybe it's that. Well, look at it this way. The fact of the matter is Alien, Aliens, and Alien 3 happen to have good actors, but didn't really require them, because at the end of the day, they're all fucking meat. Now, I'm not saying that it wouldn't be a good film, but what I'm saying is that it would not take anything away from the alien itself. We all go and see the Alien films because we want to see the fucking alien. That was one of the reasons why most people were disappointed with Prometheus. And the other thing that I have a problem with as well is this new narrative nowadays in writing. It's been around for a long time, but it seems to be a big thing nowadays, is that you have to explain everything. Some of the best films and some of the greatest films that have stood the test of time, like John Carpenter's The Thing, which I know wasn't his original work, but it was the ending. You know, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know who is the thing and who isn't. You've got no idea. And you can speculate, and that's the fun of it, is the speculation. Being given the answers is final, and if them answers don't make sense, you can't step back from them. Trying to explain who the engineers were is just absolutely fucking stupid. You know, and I'm going to do videos actually about the engineers, the derelict, and stuff like that, because there's some interesting aspects that could have, you know, it's a garden path you could have gone down, instead of just completely spoiling it. You know, going back to the alien homeworld, you know, and it's just so annoying that basically this absolutely beautiful, beautiful killing machine was created by an android because he had fuck all else better to do, and he hated his creator and he wanted to create... It basically puts humans right back at the centre of everything. This beautiful thing cannot be manifested out of nowhere. You know, it has to have something to do with humans. It has to go full circle. And it's just weak, lazy writing. It's not very creative. You know, it's predictable. Well, I didn't realise, actually, it's not that predictable. I didn't realise that, you know, Prometheus was going to be the sham that it was. Jesus Christ. Forgetting all, you know, people pick Prometheus to death for all the scientific inaccuracies. Forgetting that, you are completely missing the point of what made the Alien good. Look at Alien, you get no answers, and you don't need them. You know, that film has a high rating by hundreds of thousands of people over the years as being, you know, one of the staples of science fiction horror films. You know, it is the go-to film. You haven't seen Alien, you've got to fucking see Alien. It's amazing. You know, brilliant direction, brilliant lighting, brilliant everything. You know, well ahead of its time in a lot of aspects. You know, with a woman lead role. And you could go on about all the philosophy and all the rest of it about the film. The fact of the matter is that Alien scared the living shit out of me as a young kid, and it is the only alien thing that ever did. You know, the rest of them, you know, predators don't attack kids and so on, and all this, that, and the other, or you're not led to believe that they do, and this and the other. It has morals, you can talk to it, it has a language, technology. The alien's just unstoppable. You know, as a force, not actually as an individual creature. You know, it's as tenacious as bacteria, or apart from it, like I say, it's 7 foot tall and has fucking fangs. You know, to fuck around with that just seems like a stupid thing to do. Not only that, is after actually seeing Alien Resurrection, Ridley Scott has surely seen Alien Resurrection, and that's just showing you what you don't do with the alien, which is just piss around with it, you kind of ridicule it, try and control it, try and do this, try and do that. It's just a bad idea. Now, people might say, well, 20th Century Fox have this property, they need to do something with it, they're not just going to put it away. My suggestion, if I had the money, if someone said to me, right, you've got the budget that Ridley Scott's got for Prometheus, but we're not going to make Prometheus, what would you want to make? I'd get a director to do it. I can't direct, I'm not a director whatsoever. But the story that I would go with, or the story that I would give to writers and say, write me this story, is just to kick off the franchise again. It's easy money and we'd love to see it. Would be a film that you would call Hadley's Hope. Don't even put Alien in the title. The big fans will know what it is. Call it Hadley's Hope, and it would be basically a prequel in that kind of sense. Newt's parents, turning up at the derelict, and then what actually happens at the colony. You know what I mean? And to be quite honest, you'd say, well, what else is there in the story? I'd have kind of like an espionage, backstabbing bit where someone at the colony is actually working for Burke. Is in communication saying, if this goes, the guy contacts Burke and says, this has all gone tits up. This thing's fucking real. This guy's come back with a thing on his face, and Burke's like, do this. Disrupt the colony transmission. That would be something quite cool to silence it so Weyland-Yutani can get out there. But what happens is that colonial administration poke the nose in and send Ripley and the Marines out, and that's why Burke's there, and so on. So you could quite easily rope it into a story. It would be quite a low production value. You wouldn't have to spend stupid amounts of money. You don't need all these vast scenes they have in Prometheus and Covenant. It's a colony. You'd basically just have to get the plans from the original colony and build the film that way. You wouldn't have to do much to it. Have guys in suits, just like James Cameron. Don't CGI the shit out of it. It isn't required. And they would make probably double the money that they made. Probably not on Prometheus because everyone went to go and see it, but probably double the money Alien Covenant made. For the simple fact is, you know what you're getting, and you get what you want, which is you want to see the fucking alien, and you want to see just, the ending. But look how successful Titanic was. We all knew the ending to that film, but still, it was the highest grossing film of the time. I'm not saying it would be that, but what I'm saying is, yes, we know the ending to Hadley's Hope, we know what happens, but to see what actually happens and build a story within that would be absolutely amazing. Anyway, that's just my thought on this. Please leave your ideas of what you think of what I've said in the comments below. Look after yourselves, and I'll see you next time.